Right, so the advice I got from the Fair Trade Tobacco Forum is to get my leaves out of the kiln. They've been in there long enough and they need to rest for a few weeks. And they will improve during those few weeks of resting in low case. That is sort of in a dry state, and then they're ready to roll. So, that is what I've done. And now I need to get my kiln ready for the next batch. And there are a few changes I need to make, so I have some work on my hands. First of all, the shelf down here is very it's disintegrated. The foil has been eaten away and that piece of plywood is completely disintegrated. So I must replace that with a metal shelf that I will fabricate and put in there. Another change I'd like to make is not having this flat roof at the top, because the water condenses up there and you have big fat water drops hanging there, and every time I open the door to top up the water or check on the tobacco, a whole lot of water drops fall down, cascading all over the tobacco, and they end up getting a bit waterlogged. So I had some trouble when I got my leaves, when I took them out. The bundles were kind of stuck together, they're kind of squished and mushed into kind of bricks of tobacco leaves, and it was quite tricky to separate them. I'd have to wait until they got dry. I sort of laid out all the leaves here. I had the fan blowing on them to just get rid of the moisture, and as they dried out I'd sort of peel them apart and tease them apart. But some of the leaves did get damaged, and it's tricky. I need decent sized leaves for wrappers, and so I need to avoid whatever damage, as possible. So now I have the tobacco in just boxes. They're still a bit moist, so I'm just kind of leaving them in there like that, and they're smelling quite nice. But I do want to move them to these larger containers I have. I only have 2. Containers are so expensive. These are like a couple of £100 each. That's pricey. I could do with a few more. So as soon as I get my kiln up and running, then I'll chuck this stuff which needs to be kilned in there, and then I've got 2 large containers where the leaves can rest without being folded. There'll be enough space for them to lie completely flat, which will enable me to end up with some good wrappers that are not cracked and torn and so on. So that's the plan. And then the second batch will run at a higher temperature. My temperature was too low. I was fixated on the 53-degree ceiling, worried that the enzymes would denature above that. But yeah, with further research and some advice I got on the forum, is that they only denature up sort of above the 60 degrees Celsius mark, which I didn't know. I guess I didn't do enough research on that particular topic. I took biology in high school, and I know that if you have a fever and your temperature is near the 50-degree mark, then proteins can denature, which is why it's so dangerous for us humans. And so I kind of thought the 53-degree temperature was, it made sense that was the ceiling. So it turns out the ceiling is higher, so I must not be afraid to push the temperature up further. So ignore what I said before, of 53 being the limit. I'm going to try and get my average up closer to about 55. 60 is still safe, but above 60 you run into problems. So also there are advantages of kilning it slightly slower, especially for wrapper. I read somewhere that the color becomes darker if you want lighter colored wrappers, and you don't want to kiln them too quickly because it'll darken them. Yes, the inspector, the quality control inspector, is on site. Do you agree with me? It needs a proper steel shelf in there, not a flimsy bit of wood wrapped in tin foil. Are we agreed? We are agreed. Right, let's get to work. Alright, got me a nice sturdy shelf in there. Piece of repurposed scrap metal. It's about 2.5mm thick steel in there, so that should be nice and sturdy. Now, for the top part, I want something that forms a peak. So here's a nice little sheet of galvanized sheet. And the idea is, when I slot that on the top, the drops will condense on the inside, and because of the slope they will just run right off. Whenever I open the door, there won't be any drops hanging there that will cascade all over the tobacco. That's the plan anyway. I like it. If anything condenses on top, it should just run off. If anything condenses on the bottom, it should just run off. Either way, it should just run the hell off. I like. Alright, this little fan has been very handy. It's a little desktop fan you can plug into a USB port, which is why it's quite handy to combine that with an iPhone charger, which just uses a USB port to plug in. But as with most things made in China, sorry China, but your shit just never lasts. Works perfectly for a month or two and then there are issues. In this case, the on-off switch. It was on, it was off, and it would kind of work and then not work and make contact, then not make contact. So I had to go in there and bypass the whole damn thing. So, when you plug it in, it's on. And when you unplug it, it's off. No need for a switch. It needs to be on permanently anyway. It needs to be running permanently in the kiln, anywho. So I think I had it in the bottom and it was kind of doing like a vortex on its way up. I think there were still some spots that didn't have adequate circulation, so I'm going to put another fan in there. Got an old PC fan here. 12 volts DC, and I have a charger that delivers an output of 12 volts DC. A match made in heaven. So I'm kind of thinking we could have this bad boy mounted up here somewhere. I can just blow it towards the door when the door's closed, and it'll just kind of swirl around here, around the leaves. I don't want to blow the leaves around too much. These fans are not too powerful, so we'll give it a go. I have a little hole in the back there. At the moment there's a plastic plug sealing it up, so I can get rid of that and just pack a bit of feed the lead through there and just pack some of this pink packaging material in there to kind of seal up the hole. And with those leads combined, I should be able to get it to this socket, which will be resting up here, and that will feed both fans. Yes, let's do that. Okay, that's all wired up. Doesn't have a switch, so plugged in, it's always on. And that's quite nice. It's got a bit of a rattle to it, so I'll just use some of this pink spongy stuff to kind of absorb any vibrations. I remember that's the reason why I took it out of my PC. The noise it was making was driving me mad. So, repurposing it to a much better purpose. And it's not that strong. Really, it just moves the air around, which is ideal. I don't want the leaves flapping and bashing against the sides. So that's ideal. I like that. I better plug up the hole down there. Okay. So we're making some nice improvements. I think I'll soon put that slow cooker, the inside, back in, fill it up with water. Get my temperature control kind of hooked in there and just measure a few temperatures. See whether it corresponds with the red spirit thermometer, which is here somewhere. Where did I see you? There you are. It only goes up to 50 degrees Celsius, but I have ordered another one from a beer crafting site. I didn't think of that before, but of course if you're crafting beer, you do need to measure your temperatures as well. So what a handy site. They had exactly what I was looking for, so hopefully I'll get that next week. And that measures right up to, I think, over 100 degrees Celsius, so that's perfect. But I'll get these two to correspond on the lower, let's say 45 degrees, and if they reasonably correspond, then I can push up the thermostat, keep an eye on this one. When it gets to the temperature I like, then I will take this thing out, because these probes just can't handle 100% humidity for more than a few weeks. Then they start conking out. The other one I used, it's this one. Well, it might actually be returning back to normal. It was registering ridiculous temperatures. It had a temperature of 65 degrees Celsius in here, in this garage. And room temperature right now is around 17 degrees. This is still up. This one is, as it came from the manufacturers, there we go, 17 degrees Celsius, that's about right. Typical room temperature on a winter's day in South Africa. Wind is howling outside. So I will literally just use this thing to make sure the temperature is in the right area, and then I will remove it. Because they don't seem to last forever, they just get destroyed. They are quite flimsy. But the red spirit thermometer that I will be getting will be more reliable for me to just make sure that the temperature is where I need it. Alright, so we've made some lovely progress today. I am very pleased. Now I'm thinking of putting a tray down there to catch the water that runs out. It's a leaky fridge and there's not much I can do about that. But I'm going to have to raise the fridge up on some legs to give me some space underneath to put in a tray. Yes. I think I'll work on that as well. Alright, here we go. I wouldn't call this a work of art, but it's getting there. The first couple I rolled were a bit harsh. This one, a little bit of harshness remains, but the cigar flavors are starting to shine through now. And it's gonna take some time. This is very young tobacco, obviously. But very good smoke output. Our cigar flavors are starting to come through on the retrohale. Still a little bit of that harshness, but that should go away over time. So I'm going to roll some more of these. And I don't have a lot of good leaf for wrappers, which is why I'm rolling very short little stogies. I'm hoping with the second batch that I kiln, I just need to get those leaves spaced further apart. These ones ended up kind of compacted, and it's very hard to separate the leaves and get some good ones for wrapper purposes. So I'm limited to rolling short little stogies, but that's fine. For now, that's all I need. So there we go. I call that a success. It's quite ugly, but yeah, it's starting to taste good. I'm probably smoking too fast as well, but yeah, there's a bit of nicotine in there. I can feel it, but not too much. Combustion is top notch. So there we go. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for following along my journey. I hope it was interesting for you. This isn't the end. There's the next season, and whatever tobacco I have left, I'll be smoking whilst growing the new batch. And yes, I'll report back on how the tobacco progresses, how the flavors emerge. So stay tuned, and catch you in the next video. Cheerio.